like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I get our meeting in order?
Sure.
Call the meeting to order at 6:30.
And we're rolling.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I got just one piece of business I want to...
Please.
So, Mr. Smith, you've requested a couple of FOIL requests from us, which I'm exactly trying to find exactly what you're looking for.
I canceled the request.
You did, okay. It's definitely a burden on our group. I mean, a lot of these guys aren't really technically savvy to go pull those emails, and so I'm wondering if we just copied you on our correspondence, would that be okay to do that? Is there anything that states us that we can't?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Like any correspondence you want a copy of?
And just to avoid these FOIA requests going forward, if I just copy you on everything, would that suffice?
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
And it, do you mind?
Go ahead.
If you have any like specific questions, Jeff, or anything, like, please reach out to me, and if it's anything I can get to them or something and get it to you, make their life easier, and I'll facilitate anything. But like for them, they have unfortunately personal emails. We are working to fix that. We're working on getting town emails for elected and appointed officials. So it's just a lot.
I had a particular topic in mind, and then I had additional information come to me separately, and I saw that there was no need for the request anymore, so I canceled it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, visitor comments. Anybody? New business. Discussion and vote on select board reorganization. We are bound to reorganize after an election.
And pretty standard that your third year, you're the chair, correct?
It's pretty much always been that way.
I move to nominate Eric Volheim for chairman.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nominations were closed because there wasn't anybody else that could.
So now Jeff will be clerk, I will be vice chair?
Correct.
Okay.
Can we just, for
Yeah,
purposes,
we
just
should
do a
vote on
vote
it.
on each
Yeah,
individual?
that's, okay.
Yeah, I'll nominate William Tinker for vice chair.
I'll second it. No other nominations. All in favor?
Aye.
And I would nominate Jeff Schaff as clerk.
And I'll second the nomination.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that's fun.
Discussion and vote on select board goals. What's this?
So that just, now that, you've reorganized, we're about to go into a new fiscal year, it's just an opportunity for you guys to talk about what you would like to see in FY26 as we move forward. Any specific goals, like, for example, just bringing in, finding, different ways to bring in revenue for the town, or just something that the select board would like to accomplish.
And it doesn't have to be set tonight. I asked
No,
you to put this on the agenda so we can just work as a board for the greater good of Hardwick.
Okay.
And so.
Absolutely. That's why we're here.
Right.
Good.
Think about it and come back
Yeah.
to a different meeting.
We
but
can
just-
table it.
Well, is that enough discussion? Are you happy with that?
Well, do you not want like specific goals or?
I don't know what you were looking for.
No, I'm just trying to
Working
find
for the
direction so like we are on the same page. We're all working together. That's all.
Yeah.
Looking for direction. Like suggestions like with finance. Talking about finance tonight. Creating policies into the future that set up our town, like whether it's a 4-year plan, 5-year plan, financial policies, stuff like that. So we're all on the same page, and it doesn't matter who the players get removed, the outline is there, the direction's there, and they work towards it. something like that.
So we'll save it for a later agenda item?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as we go along, sure.
It'll come up.
It'll come up, yeah.
Right.
Do you want me to add it to the next meeting, or what, a couple subsequent meetings?
I
or-
would say after we get through the budget.
Okay.
Yeah,
In the
it's
town
very good.
meeting.
Yeah, in the town meeting. After that, when the pressure's off, we can
Yeah.
actually
Just
have a
stand.
working meeting and work together and come up with some stuff. If that's good with everybody.
Yes,
Good with me,
that's
good.
fine with me.
Better.
Okay.
Okay, appointment of Cheryl Wolfe to the Historical Commission. She has a letter here saying that she would like to be on the Historical Commission. Do they have room?
Oh, we certainly do.
Okay. Well, would you like
I'll
to-
nominate her for, Cheryl Wolfe, for a seat on the Historical Commission.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Appoint a seasonal employee, Raymond Walker, to the Highway Department. I would move that we appoint Raymond Walker as a seasonal employee of the Highway Department.
I'll second the motion. I mean, unless you want me to make the motion or him to make the motion.
And usually as chair, you wouldn't make the motion, would you?
As chair, I can't make a motion.
Okay. I'll
I
make the
can
motion.
second, but I can't.
All right, I'll make a motion to
Oh,
appoint seasonal employee Raymond Walker to the Highway Department.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that's why I'll be kind of moping around saying, I'd seek a motion to do something. But chair can't move.
Okay. Well, you can second though.
I can sit. Okay, sewer abatement.
And find in your packet, all the information has been submitted. I do have it for you to sign, should you vote to approve it. They have attached their bills, and
Mhm.
everything was fine.
You wrote a letter, you lost the use of it for a while.
Yep. Everything's in order. I'll make a motion to approve the sewer abatement for 2931 Church Street, Gilbertville, Mass.
I'll second.
Discussion,
Good.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And discussion of the Quabbin Watershed support letter. There was a Zoom meeting, representatives of towns around the Quabbin. This grew out of an earlier meeting up at Eagle Hill. Bill and I both were there. Perhaps you'd like to, it was your idea to get this letter to,
Yeah. Well, all the towns are going to be looking for support letters through the Board of Selectmen, and they're trying to hit a date of May 26th, or the very first week in June. So depending on how we meet, I just wanted to bring it up to the public and let everybody be aware of it. So at the next meeting, if we have a letter, because the lady's going to draft one, I forget her name, but she's going to put something together. We're going to submit like a story from Hardwick, from the 7 towns. She's going to mash it all together, and hopefully we present it at WGBH in Boston, and get a lot of public support behind this.
And what exactly,
the
Is it?
idea is that the towns are supporting the Quabbin Reservoir by protecting the watersheds. It's asking for some kind of recognition and compensation for
Okay.
that.
Through the MWRA,
right?
Yeah.
and not so much a tax, but a fee to the MWRA.
There's a Senator Comerford who
Right.
is
Behind the
leading
In,
this.
out in the other side of the Quabbin.
Right.
And also Peter Durant's behind it.
Okay.
Olivera's behind it. There's a lot of support.
And this is for an extra pilot payment?
Pretty
Or-
much, yeah.
Okay, or raising the pilot payments, because I know we
Not-
can get them.
It's a totally separate dollar amount
Okay,
than the pilots. And it's gonna go to the 7 communities, and it's gonna go to some nonprofits. It's all in the bill, and how they're gonna break it down. If it passes, there'll be a board made up of these 7 towns that decide what to do with this financial money. And it's going for infrastructure, stuff like that, to support these communities that have given for 80-plus years and haven't received any compensation.
Well, we do get some.
A cup of coffee a day. That's pretty good for 4,000-plus acres,
Yeah.
just in Hardwick.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Bill, will this legislation also protect the watershed? So, we're not going to be fighting, another dump or a battery park or something else on top of a watershed for.
I believe it does to some degree, yes. It will also take the burden off of the towns, because we'll have financial support where we won't have to consider stuff like that. I mean, it puts us in a tough position right now, because things are growing, things are costing us more and more and more. And we've said no before, but what if they come back and waive 5 million, 10 million? It's a much bigger number, it's a much harder decision.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
ask a question. You said May 26th. Your next meeting is May 27th. Is that going to be an issue?
I was thinking that we might have to call a different meeting, or we could agree to a letter in spirit tonight and go with what the group comes with.
Yeah, that's
Wanna
fine.
do that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Seem all right?
Seems fine with me,
All right.
okay,
certainly agreeable.
all right. I'll make a motion to approve the Quabbin Watershed support letter by the Select Board.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So when the letter comes in, we'll know about it, and we'll all come in one at a time and sign it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Quick, yeah, we did it before.
Good.
Thank you.
So, joint meeting with the Finance Committee. Here we go.
I'll just hand out to you guys. This was Finance Committee's.
just pass
Oh,
it
sure,
down.
that'd be great, thank you.
You have one?
Okay, thank you.
In your packet, you'll see your budget, and then I just passed out the email that went out to all of you from Mr. Kolas.
So,
I really like the column about the difference between the two budgets. That's very handy.
You want to start there, Mr. Chairman?
I'll turn it over to you to start.
Okay. So, we've been delivering a lot this year on the budget, and certainly with the issue we had with the retirement and the deficit that we have there this year, which is, it's what, $110,000. And then there have been several other budget increases that we felt put this budget into jeopardy. And if you think through what a town budget is all about, you have a fixed amount of revenue, and you have to build a budget around that revenue to provide the critical services that we have. And then anything above that is to support the community. So what we feel is that the budget that is out there today, we need to right size it, because when you look forward into 2027 and beyond, the deficit that we have grows at an exponential rate. So, and we looked at that. We looked at 2027, and if we keep the budget as it stands today, as presented, or as you guys proposed the budget to be, we'll have a very significant gap in 2027 that would be very, very difficult to close. So And there's some other fundamental things that I think we, as a policy, that we should be working on this year. And certainly, we cannot take non-recurring funds and fund an operating budget. So, for instance, I know we have some reserve that's getting released for the assessor. It's about $62,000. We should not use that to fund the budget because it's only going to make next year worse. So, those types of funds, you know, Mr. Korzik has been on the capital, and we've identified many capital programs that need to be funded. And that's really where our effort should be, is to get those capital items done. So supporting the capital stabilization account is, I think, critical, and we feel it's very critical. But also, it will help reduce the maintenance costs going forward with having to replace a roof, having to replace vehicles, a new fire truck. You know, those things, when you have old equipment and you're putting in operating dollars to maintain those, you're driving your budget up, and you have to do that to keep that equipment running.
Can
So-
I interrupt?
Yes.
The using the overlay, if next year is even worse, can you explain that?
Yeah. So, for instance, we have we can only raise through taxation and money that we get through local receipts, and then we've got our state the state funding that we get. That really doesn't change year over year. I mean, our taxes go up 2.5%, so we know we're going to get a 2.5% increase. We know we have a little bit of new growth. We know we're going to get some local receipts. We've got a trending on that. It grows a little bit every year. State funding can go up or down. I mean, it's certainly not guaranteed, but there is certainly a level. That's what we have to work within. And if we take a non-recurring, like the overlay, and we inject it into the operating budget, where's that money come from next year?
Assuming that there wouldn't be another overlay.
Correct. So that money automatically comes off of a budget we've funded now. So now you're $60,000 already in the hole. And in doing so, it's only going to make the future years much worse. So what we're proposing this year is, we need to start right-sizing the budget to the revenue that we have and sustaining the future going forward so we can live within that. And then as we work on getting new revenue sources, whatever those are going to be, then we can look at if they're sustaining, then we can start to look at bolting on additional services and additional budget dollars to support programs that we want to be supporting.
Thank you.
So in the material I sent you over the weekend, Justine and I have spoken, and we've got a good reconciliation between the selectmen's budget and what our recommendations are. And you can see it in that difference column. But we feel pretty strongly that we've got to make some adjustments this year so that next year is sustainable. And even with the adjustments we're making this year, knowing that we're going to be adding some of those positions back on next year, we still have the FinCom still is projecting a deficit that is, we feel we can close it with some things, but it's still a deficit that is concerning to us.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
So, we've talked in other meetings too, where I've talked about the trajectory of the town and how it's not sustainable. So the chair of the finance committee and myself, we do agree on that. However, this board, made a commitment not too long ago, and the board just changed, to find additional ways to bring in revenue for the town through different programs and different, so, we need to find ways to bring in revenue to the town. Because, like Mr. Holbrook said, we're heading down a really poor trajectory.
Right.
Which I've said till I was blue in the face. I am working on a 5-year plan, which my priority right now is to get through this year's budget and town meeting. Then after that, I'm going to go back to working on that. And then I will definitely share that with the finance committee, and hopefully we can come up with, we can work on it together, and have our numbers reconcile. But I do agree with fundamentally that we're not doing well financially, because we're not living within our means. We're running out of money in accounts in like March, and that's just going to keep getting earlier and earlier and earlier. And right now, I'm going to have to pick from places and kind of balance and figure out how I'm going to balance the budget for this current year. And I don't believe it is frivolous spending. I sign off on every single invoice. I just think everything is going up. The costs of everything are growing, but we're not.
Right.
So everything around us is growing, but we're not. So I definitely think that should be a priority of the board. I guess I see his point that overlay is a one-time money. However, every year we come up with different ways to bring in money. Like we rented up upstairs. Like we're finding different ways to bring in revenue. Local receipts do change. I think my issue with putting it all into capital stabilization, while I believe that is very important that we put money in reserves, wholeheartedly believe that. I can't tell you what we're going to have for free cash next year, because I'm trying to fill holes right now in this current budget. So putting every single penny of free cash or overlay into stabilization, I don't find that to be the best financial decision, because I can't tell you right now what we're going to have for free cash next year.
Right. And this year we ended up with $100,000 in the hole from just changes in the state system, the retirement fund.
Worcester Regional Retirement, and
Right.
that's going to be roughly our new assessment number going forward.
Correct, so
Yep.
that's not going to go away.
Give or take
No.
a little bit, but yeah.
Right. Well, I think the town clerk is also a point of contention here. And you have a plan to work that through.
So, a suggestion,
Yeah.
and I've made it available to the finance committee, is we budget for Ryan to start full-time, but we give him the date of January 1st, 2026 to start full-time. And the reason why is our budget is strapped, it's tight, and to put somebody on full-time without knowing where, like a permanent position, where are we gonna get this revenue to cover that position? And it builds a little bit of, say, fluff into this number, like to allow us that 6 months, puts a little bit of money in this budget, and he's still going for it full-time. He just starts January 1st full-time.
And just delaying it.
Delaying by 6 months, but it gives the time for the town to properly plan and figure out some things.
All right, Mr. Corsick?
Yeah, the Finance Committee has a conflict of interest in making any recommendations on the town clerk, because we are appointed by the town clerk.
As moderator.
Moderator.
As moderator, I'm sorry. And therefore, that's an appearance of a conflict, if not a conflict. So it would be your decision as the select board. We'll abstain from, now that's the last meeting we had, we were going to abstain from, or make, on the town hall floor, the recommendation was, whatever, we would make a note that we have no position on the town clerk position, on the town clerk salary, simply because there's an appearance of a conflict.
Good.
So it's on you guys to argue on behalf of the town. We can't.
And I can explain that at town meeting.
Yeah, and it would be okay, but in the meantime, to avoid that appearance of a conflict,
Right.
we should stay out of this conversation.
Okay, they can stay out of it. I think the idea I present to the board here tonight, through you, Chair, is a sustainable, workable idea. Is it gonna prevent anybody from making a motion? Maybe, because, hopefully, because otherwise we're gonna, we don't have money to just pull, $30,000 plus benefits and everything else to fund this position. So it gives us 6 months of planning. We're not saying no. He's a good worker. He's great at what he does, and he's an asset to the town. We all know that. But at the same time, we got to be fiscally responsible. So it's a suggestion, and that's it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I did talk to the town clerk today, because I knew this conversation was gonna happen, I didn't want to blindside him. So I did have a conversation with him. I'm very, very not in favor of this. What you guys decide to do is totally your call, but I wanted you to have all the information that I did have a conversation with him today, because I didn't want him to see this or hear about it and just be blindsided by this conversation.
Okay. Thank you.
Jeff?
What would be the savings
It would
by
be-
kicking the can down the road, so to speak?
You had it, you did it.
Is that this 8219?
I'm sorry, I need to change. Yep, right, yep, yes,
Okay.
Yep. on page 13.
So it would be more than doubling his existing salary. Okay.
Yeah, his pay would go to, what, 60-something
And does he go
thousand?
away if we don't do the full-time thing?
No, it doesn't, what do you mean?
No, I mean, do we lose the person that we now have as town clerk?
Well, I don't believe he said he'd terminate his job just because he didn't get a full-time position.
We haven't had that conversation with him.
Okay,
He is elected, he's not appointed.
right, he's not appointed, so.
I don't want to speak for him, I just know that at the conversation I had with him today, he was extremely unhappy.
We're extremely unhappy with the state of the budget
I
and the
know,
finances
yeah.
of this town.
No, right, no, I'm
So-
just saying, I just want you to have that information,
All right.
yeah.
And it's not an easy decision, I get it, but it's a decision that has to be made. You know,
Is there other areas?
If you can find some, good for you.
Come on, guys, I'm new to it.
Yeah.
no, I'll throw you some rope. We're gonna get rid of a copier that's costing the town quite a bit of money.
Yeah, I
We're
saw
gonna
that.
throw that right out the door and say, see you later. And take a hard look at the IT
There you go, yeah.
and everything else going forward. Again,
That
it's
is,
going forward. Right now, this moment in time, we need to make,
Yeah, the budget is static.
yeah,
I mean, it's a snapshot of what is and
Right.
what will be.
but that's a one-time,
yeah, but think about it this way. Had we continued paying the cost of that copier, over 5 years would be $169,000.
Okay.
So,
I believe it, because that's what they do.
so we're gonna correct that mistake.
Yeah.
And use that money elsewhere, which we could
I think
fund
we
the
already
full-time.
used that money.
Well-
We already built it in,
Okay.
right?
So-
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, so through the chair,
yeah,
Jeff, we're recommending cuts of $98,355. Now, from those cuts, we're adding back in, I want to say $40,000 is going back into the budget next year, so those are temporary cuts to get this year to balance out.
Can you repeat that? I didn't understand what you just said.
So we're recommending cuts of $98,355. Of which Ryan goes back in full-time next year. And then we made an adjustment for the highway, not to eliminate a position, because we know Marty's been struggling to get people, but if he hired in January instead of now, that's a $22,000 savings that we can use to fund this year.
And that would be hiring someone who's still imaginary.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
But that does force the problem into next year,
it does.
because you revert back to the full salary.
Sure.
We have received some applicants, so we were gonna start interviewing, just, finally receiving applicants. So I know Marty's holding on to 2 right now that we were gonna interview.
And there's money in this year's budget
Yeah.
to hire somebody else. Good.
Not if what they're proposing, which would be to delay it till January 1st.
Right.
it's still, that's a one-time deal. It's really just putting off.
But it gives the town time to come up with a plan. And it's a much needed time. It's not like, I mean, government doesn't move at super light speed.
Money does.
Money moves pretty quick. Well, what we do need to do is go into the town meeting in agreement.
Yes.
We like that.
That's it. So, what are we gonna do?
Well, I want to talk about next year for a minute, okay? Because this is where I think we have to be taking a little bit longer approach to some of the decisions we're making today. So if we roll the select board's budget forward, we're looking at a $125,000 deficit next year. And that's assuming the increase in local receipts stays the same, which is a little bit, 2.5, everything else stays the same. Free cash, I'm projecting free cash next year to be anywhere between $45,000 and $80,000. I mean, that's not going to do, that'll fund snow and ice, if that. So if we roll our budget forward, we have a deficit of $46,000. So it's a pretty significant difference. And we're not comfortable with that either. So, and it's those two positions that we're taking out this year and rolling them in full-time next year. So we do believe there's still some room there to move, because if we could balance this year and next year, and then as things change, let's say we get some additional revenue sources in, business moves in, whatever the case is, then we can look at it and say, okay, we have a stable revenue source that now we can rely on. Let's add that position. Let's add that. And then I think that's prudent financial planning versus saying, hey, we know we're going to have a deficit next year, we're going to kick the can down the road, and we're going to hope for the best. We could find another, something else could jump out at us that we haven't uncovered yet. And, now we're $200,000 in deficit. So I just think we have to right-size this thing and reset it now. Our belief is it's not a revenue problem. We know what our revenue is. It's a spending problem. We fix the spending problem for the revenue we have. Now we're set. We don't have to worry about going forward. As revenue increases, then we look at adding to budgets. That's kind of the position that we have.
So, cutting expenses might include firing somebody.
Or, for instance, we don't give Marty his third laborer. So, that's $22,000 off of the $46,000 deficit we have next year. So now we have to come up with another, $25,000 to fix that.
All we can do is control future costs. We can't go back, sell off highway equipment.
But those are one-time charges.
Right.
So, what Justine's talking about, we shouldn't use all our free cash or free cash. We need to put that free cash, we have it, we can't use it for the budget. Because if we do, it's just gonna make
It's like hiring somebody on a grant. You're just gonna shoot yourself in the foot 2 years from now. Or
Correct.
3 years. Right.
Yeah.
Right, I understand.
So, we feel, let's right size it now, so going forward, we're in a much better position. Because the town is not financially in trouble, it's just we have a spending problem.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
As the person who signs every single invoice that comes in, I don't see this town having a spending problem. I've seen other places where I've thought towns have had a spending problem, besides the stupid copier, which I'll give you, because it's ridiculous. It's extremely bare bones here. As you know, you've been around here so long, but there's a couple things I want to bring to light that I don't think the room knows. I'm meeting on Thursday with Kearsarge Energy for the solar field that's going to go in beside Roach Field. So I'm meeting with them to get more concrete numbers and everything from them and
Timeline?
Exactly, thank you. I also talked to George Lang today from the marijuana facility. He is looking to, if everything goes well, to open by the end of the year. And I just lost my train of thought.
Those are potential.
Right,
revenue
potential
sources.
reps, yeah, thank you, potential revenues coming in, and not to mention other pilot stuff that we've been working on, so, again, I cannot sit here and tell you that we have a spending problem. We're extremely bare bones, and I know you know that, I just, it's really tough to get through the whole year, with the budgets that are already given. Like I said, I'm trying to fill holes right now in the current fiscal year. That's why I can't give you a free cash number. The thing about putting money into stabilization, which I agree we need savings, absolutely. But in order to access that money, we need to go to town meeting. And it requires a town meeting vote.
Which, I mean, I'm not arguing, but that's not a big deal. Can have a town meeting in here, we've done it before with
Yeah.
the school budget and all that stuff. so-
I just, again, because I don't even know what we're gonna have left over this year, using every cent, and putting it somewhere, it's
We've
just
only
not
got
what's
about
worth
6 weeks left, right? In this fiscal year.
it. Yeah, and we're not looking good, it's not pretty, Eric, Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
sorry.
Sorry, you can call me Eric, I don't care.
I think we need to take real serious note about the word spending problem. This is not something you guys created. You inherited years of decisions, either in personnel or equipment or lack of maintenance, that have led to this point.
Agreed.
Good example, our spending problem starts with ARPA. Think about that. What was that number when we started?
Over $1 million.
$1 million, poof. You guys didn't do that, but now we're not living on ARPA anymore as an example. So it's important to understand that there is a spending problem. There's an income problem too, but the spending problem is something you can control. The income problem is a little bit out of your control.
And my understanding is the town definitely wouldn't approve an override. Like, this town would not approve a tax override. Am I mistaken?
No, I think we've already done 2 now, so.
I actually think that, to be honest with you, the town's gonna look at us. We're obviously advisory, but we're advisory to the community. The checks and balances are here between these two boards.
Right.
So you gotta figure out, along with us, what we're gonna say, because if we say there's a spending problem, we gotta agree that there is one, and that this is how we're gonna address it, and it's in this budget. They can override us on the town hall floor, which is all right. That's the way government works.
Right, and that, by doing that, could also create further problems right then and there.
Yeah.
Well, and it's really just a way of kicking the can further down the road, you know, with a 40-year obligation. I've heard that there's 20 towns in the state that are looking at overrides.
I heard it's more than 20.
Debt exclusions and all.
It's closer to 40.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to amend something that Mr. Korzik said, because I thought it was beautiful and very eloquent. However, I guess I'll amend the word spending problem to the cost of running the town. Like it's spending, but it's like the cost to operate as a town. And that's not.
So you don't want us to appear to be spendthrifts and
Yeah, I don't think we're not spending, like we're not.
sailors on leave and
Right,
stuff.
no, it's just the cost to operate.
We're stretching the dollar
Yeah.
far enough that it's gonna snap. I mean, we can see through it. We're
Yeah.
trying to raise the level of efficiency to,
Yeah,
you know,
And costs are going up,
right.
yeah,
no matter what.
material costs, raw material,
Yeah,
fuel,
the costs are
stuff.
going up without our income
going
Yes.
up.
going up,
Thank you.
our revenue going
Our
up.
revenue is fixed.
So,
In that way, I think we agree with you.
yes.
Yeah.
So, through the chair, we've got a fixed amount of revenue, we have to build a budget around that. If we spend more than we bring in revenue, we have a spending problem. And I think it's great that we've got some really interesting things coming down the pike for revenue sources. When they come, we sign the deal, we cash the check, we add the position.
Right.
We get another deal, we sign the check, we cash the check, we bring something on. We bring it on prudently, based on the level of services that we need.
Can I add to that too?
Yes.
And that's exactly why your point about creating a a policy of what this board is gonna work on in the coming year, this should be the #1 policy. You guys are gonna have to
Well,
figure
it's gonna
out.
be a working meeting between the two of us, or both boards, and come up with this policy, what's gonna make this best for Hardwick.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because we're really up against the wall. I mean,
Right.
we can fix these problems, we can manage them,
Right,
but we can't keep kicking them down the road.
right. And we can't keep facing deeper and deeper deficits, where it's 125, it's 150, it's possibly 200.
And my
Those are
fear,
numbers that we're not gonna be able to
yeah,
correct.
and my fear, representing the capital planning portion of this thing, is that all of the capital projects that we're suggesting are basically fixing things that are getting worse. Fixing hydrants that need to be fixed, cutting down trees that are jeopardizing the buildings here. We're not talking about capital planning things that are 4, 5, or 6 years away. These are immediate needs. How many more roofs will we have to fix? One only has to wait for the next rainstorm.
Right. And what Justine's saying about like the free cash versus, what is it, capitalization account is, because she doesn't know where all this is gonna go, and you have to do a special vote or special meeting to move that money out of there. So if we allocated, instead of the 62,000, we put 42,000 into the capitalization fund and then put 20,000 into free cash.
So, I need to understand why we would do that, because
Okay.
we have a budget this year that we've established. We're gonna use an overlay reserve to fund capital.
Okay.
We've got roughly 40, we have some articles we have to pay. We've roughly got $40,000 that we're recommending to put into our stabilization account. So if we don't use that money, then it's just gonna roll into free cash next year.
Yes,
So next year, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take that free cash, we're gonna pay the basics of articles, fund reserve, fund snow and ice, and then we're gonna put it into capital stabilization and stabilization.
Okay.
do you want my rationale?
Yeah.
Because right now, we're doing great, we have no prior year bills, but I don't know if some are gonna come to light after July 1st, if we're gonna have any prior year bills that weren't paid. Right now, we're doing great, but I can't tell you that we're not gonna have any prior year bills that are gonna go unpaid. And also, if you, hypothetical situation, you don't hire someone in the highway till January, but we get a snowstorm in December, and now we have a crazy overtime in snow and ice, again, like this year, that whatever we have left over from this year in free cash can go to fund next year's snow and ice. Or if we find any random unpaid bills that hopefully we don't have, but it's, again, I'm just thinking in the future, if we have an unpaid bill or we have a bad snow and ice year again.
So you're afraid that we cut it right to the bone and we
Yeah.
have an unforeseen
Yes,
emergency or whatever,
Correct.
unplanned consequence.
Chair, we do that every year. We've done the last 3 years we've done it.
Right.
So if free cash was certified in the summer, we'll have a special. We can pay any old bills, we can do whatever with the free cash that is getting certified. It's not like we don't have any money.
I'm telling you, I don't know what that free cash, if we're even gonna have 40,000 in free cash, because I'm fixing holes in this year's budget and moving money, because we have deficit accounts. I
Okay.
can't tell you we're even gonna have 40 grand in free cash.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at the numbers every day, and our hole is getting bigger and bigger, and luckily, like Mr. Chairman said, we only have 6 weeks left, but our holes are getting bigger.
So the budget we're proposing is about $30,000 is gonna roll into free cash.
Okay. And going what you, excuse me, so, real quick, if we didn't need to make a transfer or something, we could do that. We could fund this all, we could take what your budget says, 62, right into capitalization, and if for some unforeseen emergency came up, we could fund it. We'd have a meeting, we'd transfer money.
Yeah.
And you're saying with your budget, there's money to go back into free cash?
Yes.
Okay.
So the budget that we've outlined,
Mhm.
as of today, we have a $36,000 surplus that we're going to be putting back into free cash. That's funding our reserve account, $25,000. So if there's any issues that come up, we certainly have that, like the treasurer. But we're going to be able to put $62,000 into our capital stabilization account, which is going to move that fund that up to $152,000, if I have the beginning balance right, which we're gonna be able to use to start doing some pretty big capital programs. And we've agreed that we need to do it through financing, because we can leverage that capital, and we can start doing some of these projects and start getting these things off the list. And that's gonna start a flywheel, it's gonna start to turn. And we're gonna not need so much free cash to go fix certain things that come up as emergencies, because those things are gonna be done, and the maintenance is gonna come down in these budgets, and we're gonna be able to start to drive efficiency into this thing. That's how we're gonna fix it.
Okay.
And one other question, just because I talk about unforeseen expenses. We're confident, not we're, are you guys confident that there are going to be no surprises from the USDA grant and the project with the sewer?
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah, I've been following that,
Yeah,
like every meet, like
Right.
once a week,
Yeah.
the budgets, everything, they're in very, very good shape.
but the deadline for the project completion,
Yeah.
we're safe on?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what is
There is no, right now, we still have, roughly, we have 2 million contingency
Right,
that we're gonna
Well-
apply to certain things, and as far as change orders go to improve it, we're at roughly $1.2 million to $1.4 million of that 2 million. So we still have, say, 600,000 to be allocated, and we're gonna go through Scott and stuff like that to find out what is the biggest bang for our buck.
right,
What does he critically need, and we're gonna use that money on.
okay.
That money isn't gonna be wasted or
No, but
anything
in
like
terms,
that.
in terms of completion of the contract, the USDA
Deadline.
cannot,
Yeah, it's on
cannot
schedule.
gig us
like-
on the deadline.
It's on
Yeah.
schedule.
It's on schedule. If anything, it's more towards ahead of schedule.
Okay.
And you're
You know,
welcome.
the only
No,
delay
I
was
just
on,
I just want to make sure,
on
because that's a
the
big
pump
one.
was the National Grid connection.
Mhm.
That was delayed for whatever reason,
Yeah.
you know, paperwork through National Grid. But that's pretty much the only
Okay,
hiccup.
so
we've
we'll
run
be all
into.
set then. You
Yes.
shouldn't see anything unforeseen.
Right. I mean, I'll go through the things and I'll present it at the next meeting. Like, you know, just a total update, just then we'll
That'd be
share it.
wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll-
Yeah.
I think that'd be great, because I think we all need to be in
Yeah,
lockstep.
I'll get all the financial numbers, there's percent complete. I asked this about 2 months ago in the meeting, where we percent complete wise billing, stuff like that.
Good, thank
So,
you.
yeah.
Okay.
We'll put that on the agenda, huh?
Oh, yeah, sure.
And I'll do the whole 2 million contingency, what the change orders they're gonna use to upgrade.
Thank you. Good.
That's the 2 million that remains unspent in the
Yes.
current contract.
Right,
Which
it's
we can
grant
spend
money,
beyond-
but we don't get it back. It's
I
grant
know,
money.
you use it or lose it.
Have to
Yeah.
spend it.
That's a
Exactly.
real important aspect of this.
So that
Right.
number's like $1.2 million, $1.4 million that's possibly allocated out of the 2 million.
The deadline is the boogeyman for me. That all of a sudden, they're gonna say, well, that's it. You got whatever.
There was a
you
hard
got."
stop on the contract, that's why I asked.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we were told that.
If you haven't negotiated the contract completion date, it's in June.
We went in and that's what they said. There was no extensions.
As long as they don't, if they don't pull a rug out from under you for not being done or not spending all the money by whatever it is, June 24th or something like that,
Yeah,
we wouldn't want that surprise.
Okay. Well, we'll reach out to them and clarify all of
Yeah.
this.
Because
We'll present it.
they did
Nothing to
tell
do
us
about it
that there
anyway.
was a non-negotiable point completion date on the contract.
right. And if that's true, you can't do
We'll put it this
anything
way,
about
it
it
hasn't
anyway.
come up in any of the
Of
meetings,
course.
all right? It's not a red flag, it's
Yeah.
not one of those, hey, June is right around the corner.
May
Good.
I, just go back to this for a second?
Mhm.
So the Board of Assessors certified their overlay surplus to the Select Board. Their intent was not for this to go to capital, and if they knew that that was where it was gonna go, I know that at least the principal assessor wouldn't have certified it.
Well, we don't know that.
No, I do, I asked her, or she told me, she
I
volunteered
just
to
spoke
me.
to her today.
Yeah, she said she's fine. She wouldn't have certified it. However, it's also not municipal financial best practice to use every last cent of it. So, I mean, that's completely on you. I'll drop it. However, I'm giving you what I was told today, which would call her if you'd like, but there was no, if, ands, or buts about it when she talked to me.
Well, what do you say?
You can't use it for your operating budget, so you need to use it someplace else, like capital or stabilization.
I was just gonna say, no, just don't spend the whole thing. Yeah.
Then
Whatever we spend,
Put it in capitalization.
Put it all in capital, yeah. I mean, you wanna put half in capital and keep half, or?
Or even
50,
40, just
yeah.
not the whole thing. I'm
Put
just
like
really worried.
42 in capitalization and put 20, what, in
Just
free cash?
Yeah.
Well, I got 38 that's gonna roll into free cash, so I think we
So,
use that.
so then what?
So it's that and the town clerk. Those are the two sticking points.
Mhm.
And I don't see the town clerk as being, that's $8,200. It's not a make or break.
Well, it's 8,200, so Justine hasn't been for October. right?
Yes.
We have them in December, that delta is
Right.
$8,200, so.
Right. So that's not a make or break of anything with the budget. You can,
His budget right now is 32,000, and we'll be going to 64,000 or something, plus benefits. So there's a 30+ thousand. So I don't know where you're
Oh.
going up with the 8,200.
It's the difference
October.
between.
the
Starting in
January.
January.
Yeah.
Well,
He
So-
just starts full-time in January.
okay.
His FY25 budget was the 33,884.
right.
Bringing up to a moderate full-time salary. If 65 was his full-time salary, that's the 58 would be to start him in October, and the 49 would be January.
What you're doing is you're just delaying it. That's the savings from delaying it.
Yeah.
Right. To
So
get a budget to.
Well,
we got it's in the budget
But-
for starting January 1st. But if it starts in October, or when was it
It's in
October?
October, yes.
October, then it's an $8,000 something savings
Until next year.
until next year. Right, no, I understand that, but we're talking about this,
Right.
so I don't see that as being a huge,
I don't think it's a deal
Issue.
breaker.
Right,
then-
and also I don't think it's a deal breaker starting January 1st to allow the town to properly plan its finances. Figure out what we're gonna do, because we're saying yes to a full-time position without knowing our revenue. So,
And can we finesse the free cash item and save some and put the rest in capitalization?
Well, you'll
Split the
roll,
difference?
if the budget goes as proposed, you'll roll $38,000 into free cash, plus the difference in our reserve account, which I think is maybe, what are we spending at 25?
Yeah, you have 10 left.
So we have 10, so it'd be 48,000, plus any budget, any budgets that weren't spent, so there might be another 20 grand there. So you're getting up to, an $80,000 number, which is kind of what we're projecting the free cash to be for next year.
I didn't understand the budgets that haven't been spent. I have to use to balance the other budgets that are overspent.
Yeah, so but
Okay.
I'm sure you'll pull something out. I mean, if not,
I'll
then
send you the year-to-date if you'd like to see it.
I have it.
Okay.
Oh,
I did send it to you.
Yeah. So, that's all we're saying is, if you fund capital now, then he can get working on getting those capital programs done, which is gonna help future savings.
They'll, just so you know, to be aware that their proposal also completely eliminates the select board salary.
well, we didn't say it was gonna be easy. We didn't. I mean, we gotta make tough decisions. We gotta hit a reset button.
I'm not giving up my salary, don't even look at me.
We wouldn't want it to.
Okay.
Well, I guess you're right. When is the day you hit the reset button? Right? Is it today? Which
Well, we kicked the can
fiscally
down the
would be
road,
right.
and next year
Or
we're
is it
talking
down the road?
125,000, 150,000. Well,
That's-
is that fiscally responsible? I don't think so.
No, but that's the decision that has to
Right,
be
but-
made, I guess, is that. When is that
Right, it's
reset
not an
button?
easy
Is it done
decision.
sooner or later?
Welcome to the select board.
We wouldn't run our own homes that way. We would not run
I
ourselves.
mean, I'll give you a quick scenario just for private is, I would love to have a bookkeeper on staff right now, but fiscally, we can't afford one. so we outsource it, and it's cumbersome. But until we can fiscally raise enough money to have that position, we will not have that position, because it doesn't make fiscal sense.
Right.
And that's just a private business story.
Right.
Again, obviously, I don't do two separate things, but, you know, and
But
like we're talking about is you want to figure out how to raise that capital, however you can, whatever those means are, before you do it. It's easy, it's, you know, you can say, we're gonna put this on, and then maybe that other capital never comes materialistic, and now we're even burdened more with
Right.
trying to unfortunately do that.
It just allows us a 6-month window to figure things out and put the town in a better financial situation.
So what are we gonna do?
Well, I recommend that we follow the, you know, FinCom's adjustments and everything. The clerk starts full-time January 1st. The highway department employee starts January 1st. We make the necessary cuts. We do what we gotta do.
Can I ask some questions?
Sure.
You want to get rid of your $500 for your union? for your
I'll pay
dues-
for it.
Your dues and your, and when you go,
I'll
your,
pay for it in a pocket.
it's only $500.
We'll pay
It's
for it.
$500.
That's our
Yeah,
sacrifice.
listen, you ever hear of the straw that broke the camel's back?
So when I get your invoice for your finance committee association, it's just a UV invoice? Okay. I just want to make sure.
We're all making sacrifices.
We'll have to.
I didn't even know I was.
And that, other one that stuck out to me, I mentioned this to you, was the accountant expense. You completely eliminated it, at least level fund it, because you can't eliminate that expense. She needs hard copies of things, and she only comes in once a month.
It's actually an audit item that showed up in the audit letter.
Because we send her everything, so it wouldn't show up in our audit letter, because we're doing it right.
No, the letter I got was, they had concerns with mailing packages to the accountant because there's no
Yes.
backup.
But she still needs those hard copies.
Scan it and send it to her.
She does her own mailings and stuff. She still needs an expense. She has a phone. She has.
We'll let it back in. How
Okay.
much is it?
$1,000.
Just 1,000. You just
$1,000.
level funding it. Okay.
How about the selectmen's pay?
That's up to you.
5,700 between the three of us?
Some of us aren't.
I'm not, believe me, I'm not.
We could do some creative finance, we could cut it by 50%, and then Jeff and I could decide to waive our fees or leave that money in the budget, and then Mr. Chair, you wouldn't have to sustain a pay cut.
Sorry, Eric.
Appreciate that.
Well, I hope somebody does that for me when I'm,
We'll leave that the way it is, it's okay.
We can put
all
something.
I'm just saying,
We want to put
We
it.
can do
Just,
that
it's
every-
only another year. It's
What about
all
3,000? Something like you guys should get something. You put in work.
right. Well,
Sorry,
we
I'm
should-
advocating for
Actually,
someone.
I keep urging people to pay the selectmen more money. I think it might generate more interest in the job. But I'm fine with this. We go like this.
You sure?
Yep.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
I didn't mean to,
No, it's
It's all right, it happens all the time.
because I'm probably flatter broke than you are.
Sorry.
So, was that a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the budget based off of the clerk position starts January 1st, the highway position starts January 1st full time, and we're gonna fund capitalization account 61,000 because 1,000 is going to the accountant.
We have 2 more questions.
2 more questions?
Yep. On page 14 of the finance committee's proposal,
Yeah.
you cut the townhouse by $2,000, and you also bring down, I'm sorry, hold on. The municipal building expense, which if you combine, we're almost completely spent. I know some was moved from all boards and some was moved out. We're almost completely spent out of all those accounts.
Can we get we need a list of what's being spent in those two.
I have them, I can send them to you, I don't have them on me.
Yeah, when we talked about this at one of our meetings, we thought there was, that was not being spent at the level, so
We used
thought
to
we
have
had moved
meetings
there.
before.
We're just level funding it from FY.
finalized.
25 on the municipal building
Finalize
expense,
it
and the
in
town
May.
building,
May
townhouse.
27th.
Um,
You fine with that?
Yeah, I'm okay
That was
with that.
earlier in the year, I believe.
That
Yeah.
We have time now.
So,
Sorry, I didn't hear
Well,
that.
Was that,
Okay.
You know what I mean?
when
Just-
was it 8,000?
So,
I think we
we're
got that,
gonna
we got
lose
that
our
number from a
impetus here.
previous
I think we
budget,
could.
maybe
We could
2022.
yeah.
I don't know if
I also
where that came from.
you need to talk about IT too.
well, we did talk about IT, as
Yeah.
far as, we're getting rid of the copier.
Their number
Um,
is different in here, that's why.
So, doing some quick look on for copiers, scanner, thing. We could get a decent copier, we could do a request for proposal, get it for about 8,000. And we could get a service package with that for like 3,000. And it will handle everything we need. Okay, versus.
You'll own it.
And we'll own it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether we do a lease to own, or however we choose to finance it or whatever, but the last payment we make, we own the machine.
If you finance it, and you finance it through capital.
Right, we'll finance it through
If it's
capital.
over 20, if it's 25 or over, if it's under 10, that's just,
Well, this is, we have a $2 million budget. Anything that's going into capital should go as a capital item. $8,000 is money that we can be putting back into a budget on something else.
I agree with you, but I bought paper today, I didn't run it by capital. Like,
And that's
It's in your
that's a little different.
it's in your
trust me.
town it's in your town bylaws.
This is an asset, equipment asset, I would say.
It's an asset. An asset,
Right,
you put it through capital.
all right, so
And redo your bylaws.
roughly $8,000, 3,000 warranty package. We're off the hook for 11,000 versus, that number's more like 32,000, 33.
Yeah.
So, we'll have money there.
Yeah.
We'll have money in IT.
Yep.
And also, ask Jeff to look at IT.
Mr. Smith?
Mr. Smith over here, he volunteered.
Great.
For free. For free, of course, everybody's working for free, Mark. So if anybody else from the public would like to volunteer and come down and work for free, we'll gladly accept that help. Okay?
That's a good ad. Thank you.
No problem.
So the select board's original IT is 38, what are you, and the finance committee is recommending 30, so what is your, are you changing your recommendation, or what do you want in that number? We're $21,000 currently in the hole in FY '25.
Right.
So what do you want the number to be?
It will, we agree to say 32 on that number,
Well,
or 30?
30. If you buy a copier, you're
Right.
getting
Just leave it 30.
$25,000, $28,000 out of that number.
Okay, right. But we also, out of that 30, she's saying there's 14,000 for the Vadar software,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Plus
Yeah.
Sam Geeks are,
CM Geeks.
I bet he could take an assessment and go, we can, for X amount of dollars, we can run this town from an IT maintenance standpoint. I know we're spending,
so this year it's
Wait.
36,000, so you want to bring it down to 30?
30. It was 30. We'll agree to 30, and if we have to make changes, and going forward, we will.
Well, if you use the 30, yeah, it's gonna be late in the year, right? By the time you run that account down, and we'll probably know where we stand financially, or may have a windfall, who knows?
What were the other two we were talking about? It was,
Mr. Chef, how you feeling?
You're putting me on the spot, aren't you? I think we can go with what the finance committee has presented us.
Good.
What do you think,
I
Mr.
really,
Chair?
Well, there are some corrections here and amendments, but I think we're very close.
so next one is townhouse, which they decreased by $2,000.
From what?
From your recommendation of 10, they brought down to 8.
And?
It depends on the price of oil and electricity. If we increase the revolving account, we might be able to get a repair, if there came up a repair through the revolving account, which we haven't been able to do really with only $500 a year in that.
So
And
the boiler in the townhouse goes,
Capital.
We go to capital to buy a new boiler, okay.
Well,
Well,
it's new.
It's no.
But no, I
Yeah,
didn't-
and then hypothetically, yeah, yes.
Just an example.
Um,
The elevator.
The elevator's a better example, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
the elevator gets problems from time to time.
Okay.
And it's in the warrant for the annual town meeting to increase the townhouse revolving account from 500 to 1,000.
Correct.
And the municipal building expense, we're pretty much, we're almost completely spent in this current fiscal year. And that, as you know, I was combining accounts, or I was taking money to make it more transparent when it actually goes to actual buildings instead of that all boards nonsense.
Yeah. So what do you have, what gets spent through that account?
Well, it's a newly created account, so I can't tell you. I can tell you the accounts it gets taken out of. I can tell you after the meeting or something. I don't have it in front of me, but
And how much have you spent this year so far?
very close to almost all of it,
With 6 weeks left.
yes.
And is it so we have a note, it's mostly electric, utilities.
Now it's also gonna go to, like other things like,
You talking townhouse?
nope, I'm talking municipal buildings.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I just completely lost my train of thought.
So if we make it 33, or 34, we'll split the difference with you.
I'd be more comfortable with 34.
So we'll move it to 34.
Which number is this?
I'm
This
sorry,
is gonna be,
page 14.
Municipal building expenses.
yeah.
Page 14.
And through the chair, we have enough surplus in our budget to be able to absorb those two differences without changing anything else.
good.
Cruiser, police cruiser repairs and maintenance. We cut by 4,000.
Yeah, because they're up for another cruiser this year, so we felt pretty strong that they could hold that there. They'll have two cruisers, correct? Two new cruisers?
Well, yeah, Hardwick had one the previous year, New Braintree bought theirs this year, and Hardwick's due this coming year.
So,
So their repair and maintenance account is also almost all the way spent.
but we're getting rid of an older cruiser and replacing with a new one.
How are we paying for it?
Capital.
I think I might have said this to both boards, but we put requests in for the state budget, through state air. One of them was for a police cruiser. The other one was for repairs to the highway garage. What was the third one? Oh, it was fireproofing record storage.
Right.
We're not gonna get all three, but they're very different, all departments. I don't know what we're gonna get. I'm sure we'll get something.
So those applications are pending.
Yeah, they're submitted.
Yeah.
Which highway department
Ours?
needs a new roof?
I was very broad with how I worded it, so it's repairs to the highway garage. So they can use it for the brake area, they can use it towards the roof. It was
The
very-
brake area is in capital planning, so.
I know, that's why I looked at your sheet when I submitted everything.
That's great.
Again, we're not gonna get everything, but we'll get something.
Something is
Yeah.
great.
So are we there?
Cruiser repair and maintenance?
I think what Chris said with that is if you get a new cruiser, you'll be under warranty for,
Yeah, the maintenance should be less for a while.
I can certainly understand that.
There was another one that was insane.
It's probably that selectman's salary.
Eric, I'm sorry.
that's chip sales.
Same.
Should get into the paper, we're voting down our own salary.
We're on TV.
Yeah,
There's people in California watching this.
there is.
Yeah.
So was the level funding for the equipment maintenance in the fire department? The fire chief wanted to do a vehicle maintenance schedule and actually up and maintain once we get the new truck. The old truck is literally, once we get the new one, has to go out. So he really wanted to put like a maintenance plan in place, and once, it's great that we're gonna get a new vehicle, but we have to maintain it so it doesn't end up in, I guess, rough shape. So he had requested actually like 38,000 that we brought down. So their recommendation is to level fund it from this fiscal year.
Which is what?
25,000, and our budget was 30,000.
Right.
And they have other trucks that need
Yes,
maintenance. as
that are being
we go.
held off until we get our new truck.
Until we get our new truck, which is soon.
Soon.
Hopefully so.
That's good.
I did speak with Josh Pease about this,
Mhm.
and mentioned that he is getting a new truck, and how much really is it gonna cost for diesel basic maintenance on it for the year? And could he live with a $5,000 cut? And he mentioned he has a lot of maintenance on other issues in his fire department, but he said he would, you know, he'd agree to the 5,000 as long as it goes back into his budget next year.
Did he know that we cut it though? Because he might be saying
I gave him the
5,000 from a
numbers, I
30.
gave him 25,000, I
All right.
told him
Thank you.
a number, 5,000. I'm looking for 5,000. You got a new fire truck. He wasn't happy about it.
He texted
Okay.
me today. I have the text.
I'll say that. But his big point is, yeah, he'll bite the bullet on the 5,000, but he wants it back in his budget next year. Can't, because if you look at his budget overall from 1992 forward, it's only going up very, very minimal for what they do and what they provide and everything like that. So if you can make a note on your budget, I'll make a note on mine, that, you know, we're gonna,
We'll certainly readdress it next
Right,
year.
exactly.
And if he has if he comes back with a maintenance plan that, you know, we can support, absolutely. I mean, if
Right.
it's something that's gonna, again, prevent future expenses, that's what it's for.
right. Because he has a lot of hoses and stuff like that that's old, it's gonna need to replace
He
it.
has to by law.
Yeah, so,
Street lighting, you decreased by 5,000. We increased it by 2,000 because more lights were turned on based on complaints from residents and complaints from the police department, because we had some bad break-ins down here and it was pitch black. So some streetlights were turned on had been turned off. So I think $5,000, that's less than what you currently have this year, and we're again almost all the way spent.
Through the chair, you wanna talk about what we talked about?
Talk about what we talked about.
Well,
On the lights,
yeah. I mean, you had a very compelling argument.
what did I say, remind me?
There's-
So many things.
You have
Was
a
it the
light
red-
in front of
You
your
have
house?
4 lights that we're paying for, they've been off for years.
So, in my observation, the only reason I know is because of the one in my house. So, the one in front of my house went out, and it was out for years, and I didn't know until I finally got ahold of the National Grid that they said if you go around, if it has a black cap on the light fixture, it should be on. If it has a red cap on it, it should be off. Well, I've got 4 of them down the street from me that have black caps that have not been on. I can tell you for at least 2 years that I'm assuming we're paying for. That could inevitably be off. And I don't know how many, I say how many more of them. And the only reason I know that they're off is because I take a walk every night with my wife. And those, because I started looking now on my walk at how many are black caps and red caps, and they've been off for years, including the one in front of my house. They did fix the one in front of my house, but the other ones, and I would sacrifice the one in front of my house if I had to for that more when my kids were smaller. But if I see 3 of them on a 2-mile walk, I guess my question is, how many more of them got black caps we're paying for that aren't even working, that we could potentially turn off, or?
If they have a black cap, we're not paying. If they're not working, we're not paying for them.
There
How
are
how do they
several-
know they're not working?
I
They didn't even know mine wasn't working until I called.
That I don't know specifically that one.
Do you know the 4 that I complained about?
No.
There are 4 that are on all day,
Where?
all through daylight, right up around Mimi's, all around that corner of the common. There are 4 streetlights that are on all the time. And I did mention it to you.
Yeah, I haven't been driving down there at nighttime in a while.
And let's look into it, because that can't help either.
So I guess that's my point, is how many that we pay for aren't really working, and then are they necessarily?
Or working incorrectly.
The one, like at the bottom of the elementary school had to be turned back on because that was off. But the chief of police is the one who really was,
Now, somebody turned that one off, or it just died?
it wasn't working, so we weren't paying for it, but, again, the police department were really adamant, obviously, but. he was
I mean, that
like,
one sounds like it makes sense at the bottom of the school.
We had some
driveway.
really
But my
bad
feeling is, I don't think that I
public
would be
safety
surprised, who would have ever turned that off, I guess would be the question, to have to turn it back on, other than the bulb dying.
issues. I can't remember off the top of my head, it's been several months now, to be honest with you.
So I guess my point is that how many do we actually pay for that haven't worked in years, and are they truly necessary? And I don't know how to address that or how to survey that, but I guess that,
We pay a flat rate per light, whether it works or not, right? There's no meter on it, right?
no,
Right,
there's
it's on or
just,
off.
it's
So you're-
hot wired to the.
Yeah, so it's a flat rate,
Yeah.
whether
And
it's
I-
an efficient bulb or not.
Well, I guess, and the question is that if we're paying for them, they're not working, do we necessarily
We don't need them.
need them, and how long have they not worked for, I guess? And I don't know who takes that survey and makes that decision, but I guess that's just a point to
And my
make.
question would be, you're saying shut down 20%, which lights? Are you in Gilbertville? Are you in Wheelwright? Are you
Hardwick?
shutting down
Center?
some light out? I
I guess we
that
don't,
figure doesn't do anything for me.
I guess we don't know until somehow there's a survey done of which ones are actually supposed to be
And
on.
that's,
So I have
that's
that.
what I
You have that,
think.
okay.
I don't have it physically in front of me.
But do they have like a, and I don't know, that's why I ask, is there a poll number?
Yes,
Okay, poll number 2 on, poll number 3 off, poll number 5 on, and then where is poll 2, 3, 4?
Did I understand it was 84 poles we're paying for?
I didn't
Something like that?
prepare for a
Yeah.
streetlight conversation
Street
tonight.
lights?
But I guess those are for
Um,
further in concert.
Well, is
So
there a
42
database
square
or an
miles.
Excel
I
spreadsheet?
Even if
have
you're
every
84 is
streetlight, and whether
slim.
they're on or whether they're off,
Oh,
and
just
if there are
one
some
has a
mistaken,
spreadsheet
I
that has
can
this
come take a
information
ride down
somewhere.
your street and see how they match up on my list. I have every
didn't
streetlight
want
that's
any.
on, every
I remember
streetlight
when
that's
these
off.
came in. I argued against it.
Okay,
But you gotta do that at night
It
to
came
find
through
out
the
they're on,
darkness.
Which I have done.
unless you go by the black cap, red cap. I don't,
I drove around at nighttime when I did this.
So, not to belabor
That's good.
probably a bigger conversation here, but we feel that there's savings here.
Mhm.
there potentially could be a savings.
Yeah, and if we're looking for savings, this is a
Right.
place that we can,
Right.
we should put this on the top of our list of some analysis, go figure out what we want to keep on. If it's a flat rate, we can say, these, we're not gonna turn back on,
Mhm.
and there's the $5,000 in savings.
Okay.
When we turned more streetlights on, this was several months ago, we didn't turn them all back on that were off. We turned maybe a third of them on, because they were either ones we were getting complaints from residents or that the police department had determined were a public safety issue.
I don't think anybody would argue about the public safety issue. That's ridiculous. They even think that we would say, turn the one off at the school.
No, I think it's just a matter of
Somebody
getting
has
it.
to decide what's appropriate.
Yeah, and I'm sure the police department obviously knows probably better than all of us, but I
Right,
guess the
exactly.
question is which ones are on and which ones are not on, and which ones are supposed to be on, which ones are not supposed to be on, I guess was, if we get a layout, then we can have a,
And I'm sure the police aren't spending their time looking at how many lights are on
No.
and off. So
No.
we just need to,
We need to do a road trip like. we
how
did
that
with the
survey,
drive.
how that survey would happen.
Drive.
I didn't go to every inch of
Exactly.
town, we just went to the
Give me the
main
list.
roads. So like back roads, we didn't go down at all or
I'll
anything,
do
but just the
I'll
main
do it
road.
free, no charge.
There's
I'll
90
get in the
miles of
car at
road
night
here.
and check every one of them out. Give me the list.
If there's 82, we can chop that up pretty quick
Yeah.
over the course of a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess if there is some sort of a plan layout that says poll 2X and poll 2 is, wherever that might be, is on.
Every,
Check, check, check. Supposed to be on, not supposed to be on and on.
I'm a streetlight girl.
Okay, whatever. We can all do it. But I think that, again, that's what if we can get a plan together. I'm just telling my story of what happened in front of my house.
I'm very fearful that we're gonna end up in the exact same position we are this year with overspent accounts, and this is gonna be one of them. Either level fund it or.
Streetlights?
Yes.
No, I mean, if we do a survey and figure out if we're paying for lights that are shut off, and we're paying for them, and we're gonna decide to keep them off, there's a savings.
But I guess if we go around and we
So-
find out all the ones
We
that
gotta
are
just
supposed
do
to
a
be
little
on
paperwork,
are
a little
on,
survey in the
and
beginning.
we cut the budget a little bit, we say, hey, we were mistaken. All the necessary ones are on, and
What do we have for a budget for lights right now?
5?
25,000?
25,000 divided by 80. every light you find that you can turn off,
I don't know.
give it to the select.
Well, you
board.
said 84 poles, right? 84, so there's
I don't
84
think-
streetlights?
Save
I don't
some
want
money.
to say that, I don't know.
Well, let's use it for a rough
All right, we'll use it as
calculation.
a number, 84. All right, so 25,000 divided by 84. That is $297 per pole
Okay, that's worth it.
for a year,
Purple.
per pole.
Would take a lot of them to add some seed.
It wouldn't take
Well,
very
we've
many.
already got $1,200 down on his road.
Yeah.
Well, 10 is $2,900, so if you get 20 lights that aren't working,
Yeah, that's what we thought,
you
you know,
know,
there's definitely
you're over
savings.
your 5,000.
Yeah.
So we,
We just drive around town for a little bit.
I guess if we
Figure it
have that,
out.
We could have a road trip, you all could go on a bus or something and check it out if you want.
There's 90 miles of road in this town.
80.
I did not drive all down 90 miles of road. I did the main roads with the chief of police and when it was dark out. So I didn't go out to East Plum, whatever. I
Easy,
just,
easy. We're very provincial here. We're balkanized.
All
We don't want to
west
start a
side.
civil war.
we just did the main roads. I think a couple we turned off, third we turned back on, or either public safety or complaints from residents.
so does somebody, I'm assuming, and I don't know, that somebody from National Grid or somebody in the town has a layout plan of what pole and what one is supposed to be on and which ones are not.
It's
supposed to
all
be.
in my streetlight file.
Okay,
I have all of that.
so I guess we
Okay.
look at that at some meeting.
Yeah,
We're gonna need that printed up.
or share the file, send me the file,
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheet.
They have those on computers.
We did it with the hydrants.
Right, same thing, and
We
then you
did,
just
I
go
was
and
it
check.
48
And mark it off.
hydrants or
48
something.
hydrants, that took,
Found
it
every
only
one of
took
them.
about 3 hours.
Yeah. We even found hydrants we didn't know we had.
That's right. All right, where are we?
Streetlights.
Right.
Streetlights, 25,000.
That was my. There were more ones, sorry.
I think we, you know, I think we can all agree. I hope.
Well, there's some corrections here,
Yeah.
but I wasn't looking to go line by line.
And we have to.
Well, I think
It's-
it's already been done, right?
So just so you know, this week, the annual report and the warrant are going, by the end of the week are gonna be printed, so that's why this is very important, that it's really hashed out.
So we're finalizing it tonight.
No, I mean, no, I don't need it for the warrant, but we should be extremely close, at that point.
Oh, I think we're very close.
we're there.
Close.
Yeah.
I would think so, yeah.
I mean,
We feel
we're hashing over a few $1,000s here and there.
What
And
did we
and the
just,
FinCom is if emergencies or something comes up and we have to transfer money, you guys are on board, right? We have a meeting, we'll
we're
support
putting
that.
25,000 into our reserve account for those specific items.
Right, unforeseen.
Unforeseen.
that's already in the warrant. I can
Okay.
put that in there.
So,
Okay, so we're pretty much covered for,
yeah, I think we are,
Yeah.
based off of the recommendations tonight and everything that we talked about.
And just to clarify, because I'm taking notes to update everything, the 62 from overlay, you were comfortable with only 42?
We'll do 42.
So we can have it like 20-ish for
But
free
you
cash.
did say that you were financing free cash at 38.
Yeah, I got 38 rolling over. I would say just release 42 of the overlay reserve and keep it.
It won't, since they already, really, well, that's not the words.
Oh,
They
if they've already-
certified it to
then-
the
then-
select board,
Then I would say put it all into capital.
and I disagree. I think that is
'Cause we have
poor municipal management.
30, we have 38 we're rolling in.
They certified it to the select board, it's ultimately your decision. I think it's really poor municipal financial management. It's like municipal finance 101. We're gonna be really tough next year, because we don't have any, we're not gonna have much in free cash, we're not gonna have 40 grand left over, I'm telling you. We have that many overspent accounts.
Well, we'll have we'll have 38 plus the 10.
That's the recommendation from your town administrator, so do with it what you want.
Thank you.
Oh, you wanted this.
Oh,
What's this?
It's the school debt.
it's still, like the whole free cash thing. What's the purpose of having free cash if he has 38,000 going into free cash? Or 30, or even 30,000, he's saying free cash, he's got a number of 30,000 in there. And if we take this 62 and put in capitalization, why is it an issue and you want another 20,000 from that to go into free cash?
Because free cash can be used to pay prior year bills, and free cash can be used for snow and ice deficit. And with no free and hardly any free cash in fiscal year '26, at the end of the year, when if we have any unpaid bills, or any, or we have a big snow and ice deficit, which I can't tell you that's gonna happen, no one can prepare for that. We're not gonna have the free cash to cover it. If it's in capital stabilization, we can't use that for an unpaid bill, we can't use that for snow and ice, and we're not gonna have money left over, hardly any in FY '25, because we have overspent accounts, which I've said tens of thousands of times.
Tonight
So-
even.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, through the chair, we have $25,000 in our reserve account that can take care of unpaid bills. We're putting an additional $40,000 into our stabilization account, which gets us just under 5% of our budget, which is good financial practice. If, by chance, we had to pull from that to pay a snow and ice or something like that, then we could do that. But not to take that free cash and put it to work now, with the amount of capital needs that we have, would be a mistake.
And like I said,
We have the money, let's put it to good use. We've got plenty of money in stabilization. If some unforeseen thing happened, we could absolutely pull that thing out. And our reserve account has plenty of money in it to handle the little nits and gnats that come through that we have to deal with.
so if it goes into capital, and they wanna access it, it has to go to town meeting. You can't, and
Right, they've explained that.
to pull it for a capital need, an unpaid bill is not a capital need. An
No,
unpaid,
Justine, you're mistaken. So
an un-
stabilization account, which is our savings account, can be
Yes.
used for anything.
That's not true, not a capital stabilization account.
We have two accounts, Justine.
I
We
know.
have a capital
I'm only
stabilization,
talking about capital right now, though,
but we have plenty of money in our stabilization account.
which also would require a town meeting vote.
Exactly, and that's the way you want it.
So the difference is either having a town vote to get the money, or just being able to write a check to get the money. Is that how
It's managing your budget.
it's basically, is that a true statement?
Things
So
happen.
basically, the difference
Yeah, it's just
is being able
things
to
happen.
write a check to
You
pay
gotta-
the bill, or come to
do that.
a small
Okay.
town meeting to write a check to cut
And a
the bill.
town
Is that-
meeting, again, we've had town meetings in this room. It doesn't have to be.
And I'm just trying to clarify for myself that,
Yeah.
right, it's either it gets to be written out of the checking account to pay the bill, or it has to go in front of somebody to say, yes, you can pay the
Take it
bill.
out of your
So-
savings account.
And I could be wrong, that's right.
You're almost there, but not quite. So if we're taking money out of stabilization, like I said, it would require a town meeting vote. Ryan has to do everything on his end before we can and get the approval before we even use that money. So that would require another town meeting to pay a prior year bill, to put that money towards snow and ice. Now we're talking about 2 town meetings. We need that free cash.
But he's saying you have 30,000 in free cash, or you will have 30,000 in free cash.
Which is a really poor excuse for free cash.
That's not enough.
No. We have 116 this year, and that is extremely low. We were $154,000 in the deficit in snow and ice. And the only reason why we were able to come up with some of that is because we have $90,000 left over in salaries for the highway department not being able to fill positions. So imagine having 150,000, whatever, left over, and only having 30,000 in free cash. Now you're talking about having 2 town meetings just to fund snow and ice.
No, you'd fund snow and ice through a special.
Yes, if to pull it from the stabilization, 1 town meeting.
Yeah.
It takes, the town clerk has to do his work with it in 30 days, get everything to the state to get that approved, and then have the second town meeting to fund the snow and
You do a
ice.
special town meeting, you get it released, and then town, at the annual town meeting to fund snow and ice, the money's available.
So now, again, we're talking about having 2 town meetings
Mm-hmm.
where you have to pay to have a check-in person, and we're spending money to access money? That makes no sense. Again.
Well, I think it gives more control to making sure we spend what we need to spend, and if we have to spend over, we're not using all our free cash, that the free cash is being used appropriately.
And we were close half an hour ago to kind of dividing up the free cash in both directions.
Yeah, what's wrong with the 42? You get most of
42
what
to
you wanted. When,
stabilization and
Right.
20,000 in free cash.
right? Like,
As
you're
long as we don't
avoiding-
spend that free cash on stupid things, and that's what I'm afraid of.
Okay.
We've done that in the past where, you know, we didn't even find out about the fact that, you know, we're taking free cash to do something that is
So
not.
we could do this. We'll put 20,000 in free cash and we'll make sure that money, before it's spent, comes before this board.
And it has to go
approve
before
it.
that, before then.
Before the select.
It hasn't gone before us. It has not.
It did at the last one when this
Oh,
town
sorry.
town administrator was sitting here.
Well, the previous years it hadn't.
I like the idea of splitting it, and I think this is gonna go on and on without
Right.
resolution.
Otherwise,
I mean, if that's the happy medium,
Yeah,
then
I
everybody
mean,
has to sign off on
We'll be
it.
the checks and balances.
Yeah.
If they want to spend that 20, if she needs to spend that 20, she presents it to the select board, and we present it and discuss it at a meeting.
It has to, because you set the warrant.
Okay?
We will
So,
do that as
we will
long
do
as there's
that.
an agreement between both boards that we're gonna agree that the money's being spent.
Yes. Well,
absolutely.
And as long as I'm sitting in the seat, I will always go through the finance committee for stuff like that. And you could know from experience from the last one.
Right, I'm seeking a motion.
All right, so 40 into,
42,
42 into capitalization, and
And the
then
rest,
20 into,
yeah.
we'll just stay in free cash.
yeah.
Okay.
And we already have money in free cash. No, I'm gonna complicate the issue. I'm gonna shut-
Don't step on that landmine.
So what's gonna happen is we're gonna roll over, there'll be a $50,000 surplus in the budget, and we're gonna roll that over. That's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
So, make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2026 budget through the Finance Committee and the Select Board with all the changes we discussed this evening. Clerk starts full-time January 1st, Highway full-time January 1st. 42,000 is going to go to capitalization, 20,000 is going to roll into free cash with approval through the Select Board before any of that money is spent.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You want the IFB?
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess we'll,
I thought this was the board deciding this.
Well, we should probably take a motion.
We're in joint session.
Yeah, we should probably.
Yeah, but we have to take a
Yeah.
separate motion.
Oh,
They do, yeah.
okay.
You wanna-
It's 2
wanna make a-
meetings.
Someone make a motion?
Take their own minutes too.
I'll make the motion that, to mimic what Bill Tinker just said to the
Okay.
select board.
I got a motion, I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So approved.
Okay.
How do you like that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, ladies, fantastic. This was a great session.
All right.
This is, you gotta sit down, you. It's a good way to
We're not
organize.
I will,
Yeah. Thank you.
when I'm putting this together,
Thank you.
I can
Yes, sir.
tell you.
Thank you, sir.
Did you, come out of your meeting?
Not yet.
Good luck, Jeff. All thanks, your first budget.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate everyone's cooperation, and this was a great meeting to debate the issues and talk
Do
through
we
it.
have any other business?
So,
I'm gonna move that we adjourn the assessors. Jeez. It's on our meeting.
Finance.
Finance committee.
okay.
Okay, approval of minutes, you don't have,
Second.
Right, we have a
Um,
table in the minutes.
You'll have 2 sets next
8:05.
meeting.
and you don't have a report, so we're done with that.
A couple things.
You wanna say a couple things?
So, because I was on vacation, I did do a formal town administrator report, so I'll have a much longer one for next
But you gotta
meeting.
raise Leon.
Looking forward to it.
But I want,
You get a lot of dead weight.
Okay, settle down, we're still in a meeting here.
Sorry,
What do you
guys.
think we're doing?
We're getting out of here.
We're still out of the meeting.
I have to call you.
He wants to be pre-warned.
So I
My
wanted,
lights are always on.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Night, Jeff.
Have a good night.
I just wanted to recognize Scott Potter. We had a sewer emergency over the weekend, and I thought he did an absolute fantastic job. He did fantastic with communication. He handled it, like, very calmly. I kind of was joking that he had a shitty weekend. Sorry.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. But I also want to recognize Justin Holbrook, Josh Pease, Tessa Gurney from the fire department, and Jim Ai and Kevin Landine from the police department. They also did a really amazing job communicating through a power outage last weekend, and they were able to keep the fire department open, where I was informed that a senior citizen from town was able to get water to feed our animals. So we have some amazing people that work for the town, and I just think they deserve to be recognized.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Selectmen Roundtable. I would like to mention that Marty Gazufka did a lot of work through all those events and continues to, and jumps in and carves up the pavement when the sewer backs up at Regan's garage and every other thing. And he's there on Sundays, and he's there on Fridays, and he's there at dawn, before dawn, clearing the road. So, also, we have, I think we have a problem with the generator that works the pump, the well pump. We are, in fact, in charge of the Hardwick Common Water Department.
Okay.
And, not department, what do you call it?
Water district.
District. So, the generator's not coming on when the power goes out. So the water pressure's been dropping up there through these events. So we do pay for maintenance and operation. And I would say that we need to look at that because it's failed a couple of times. Again, Marty is the one who goes up and jump starts the generator and everything, but he shouldn't have to do that.
Right.
So if we can look at the contract that we have with whoever and send a complaint or a heads up, or be happy to go meet with them, call them, whatever.
Let me look into that. I didn't know about that.
And that's all I have. I was going to do the letter with the Quabbin thing now, but we already did. So.
Yeah, I was gonna mention the Quabbin Watershed bill, but,
Yeah,
you know,
good.
so,
We did all of it.
yeah, we did all that, so.
So I'm part of 2 water districts now.
I know it. It's two
kinda-
hats. You're going to have to wear 2 hats. And I'd like to formally welcome you to the Select Board.
Oh, well, thank you, Eric.
Thank you very much for taking this on.
And happy birthday.
It's his birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 66 today.
Whoa, that's
We got him a cookie, don't
Yeah, it
worry.
is, isn't it?
happy birthday.
Don't forget, you're ahead of me.
I think about it every day.
The select board got him a cookie today of a cow.
Cow.
Yes.
Nice.
Happy
And
birthday.
I didn't even get chopped liver. All right.
All right, so,
You
make a
there?
motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Don't forget I have stuff for you guys to sign.
And we're time out at 10 minutes past 8.